as Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks as Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler's got 0 Super Bowl wins, in part because he has 0 playoff appearances. He's only been in the league 2 years, but the clock is ticking on Kyler Murray. And he spoke to reporters yesterday. And look, let's just hear what he said, and I'll talk more about it later because I got some thoughts on this. Here's Kyler Murray bringing up the reality that this football star would still very much like to play a little baseball. Here he is.
The day came where I got to do what I wanted to do, which I don't know. I'm leaving it open, but I think I can still play for sure.
The next contract, will you work that in, and how serious are you about maybe someday doing all 3?
I mean, yeah, I know everybody around here probably feels different about it, but I mean, me personally, I played the game my whole life. Like if I ever had the opportunity, for sure, I would definitely go for it. Like that's what are we talking about? And I'm sure anybody else asking me would too. So I don't know. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just talking.
Yeah, it's funny. The Cardinals fans seized on that line to shout down any effort to talk about, write about, interpret what he was saying. Oh, he said, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just talking. Well, sometimes when you're just talking, you start something. And sometimes that something's already started. It predates his arrival to the NFL, Myles. He was a top 10 pick, the Oakland A's. He can go play baseball anytime he wants. He has the one thing that 99.9999% of pro football players don't have, and that is an option to play another professional sport at a high level and get paid accordingly. For most pro football players, this is the only place they're going to get that money that they're making. Kyler Murray can say, see you later, I'll go play baseball. That becomes a valuable tool for him when it's time to receive offers from the Cardinals, when it's time to deal with a franchise tag if it gets to that point. Oh, they applied the franchise tag? Well, I'll just go play baseball. I'm not under contract. I can go play baseball. They can't tell me not to. I'm going to play baseball from February until August. And then maybe I'll sign the franchise tag and show up for week 1. He can do that if he wants to. And as we see this push to minimize the significance of the offseason program, if that continues, why not have a guy say one day, hey, I can do it. I don't need to, I'll go play baseball. I'll study my playbook at night. We can do some Zoom calls at night. You cater to me. I'm the starting quarterback. But I think that it's not going away. And as he gets closer and closer to the end of his rookie contract, it becomes a very powerful leverage point for him to get what he wants. Russell Wilson uses that. We hear about baseball every time it's time for him to negotiate a new contract. Well, Kyler Murray's a hell of a lot better baseball player than Russell Wilson ever will be. Kyler Murray's got a real option if he wants to play baseball, and it seems like he wants to do it. I can't rule it out, and I don't think he should either.
Well, I don't think you should rule it out, but I also feel like if you're the Arizona Cardinals at some point, and if he actually does bring this up in a negotiation or something like that, you might want to call his bluff because, frankly, he hasn't really played baseball in a while now. I mean, it's been a couple years at least, right? And, when you're talking about somebody who is dedicated his life to being a quarterback and being a great quarterback, then you got to pick up those baseball skills at some point. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think he can, but I also don't think it's like, if Kyler Murray says, all right, I'm going to go play baseball, then he's immediately going to go be the starting center fielder for the Oakland A's, right? Like, that's not a thing that's going to happen. He'd have to at least go get some at-bats somewhere else so that he gets ready for it. And that's something that you can obviously do. I mean, if he decides that it's going to do it in February, well, then you got all the spring training to get yourself ready. And maybe you just see that, hey, like, he can really do this. He can come up to the majors and bat like 250, get on base at like a 350 clip and be good enough that you can play him every day. But I think it's at least a very interesting conversation that he brings up, even though he says he's just talking, right? If you are that good as a quarterback and you are the centerpiece of the franchise, which you are if you are a franchise QB, then you are going to have to exhibit or utilize, I guess I should say, every bit of leverage that you can in order to get as much money that you can. And this is one piece of that.
First of all, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you underestimate the ability of a baseball player to pick it up later in life and nearly get to the major leagues. How dare you overlook the fact that we recently had a guy who hadn't played baseball since high school, who had a dream. He indulged that dream, and he made his way through the New York Mets farm system based solely on merit and nothing else, from Class A to AA to AAA, on the verge of making it to the show, Myles. He was there, and he decided it was time to retire. He decided he had other things that he wanted to do. How dare you think that Kyler Murray couldn't do the same thing?
I didn't think he could do it. I just think that it wouldn't be as immediate. And like, if you want to play baseball that badly, I mean, maybe Kyler Murray could go and play baseball, and then he comes back and he says, actually, I want to be a tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. That would be a real story there, wouldn't it?
Listen, hey, it's a lot easier to beat the linebackers when you're a tight end if you can actually run through their legs. So he could be very effective at the tight end position. Look, I just think that he has in his arsenal, when it's time to negotiate, something that others don't, and it's real. And you know what makes it even more persuasive? I don't think it's leverage. I think he wants to do it. He really wants to do it. He wants to show he can do it. Deion Sanders did it. Brian Jordan did it until he picked baseball over football. And look, Myles, I'm a football guy through and through, but I've always said, if you got the skills to play baseball or basketball instead, you should, because your body's going to come out of it a hell of a lot less mangled, especially if it's baseball. You're going to play longer. Jeff Samardzija, he was a Notre Dame receiver regarded as a first-round prospect, 2007. He chose baseball instead. Calvin Johnson played football, same draft year, 2007. Samardzija played longer and made more than Calvin Johnson.
Because they've got those guaranteed contracts. Yeah, if you are a top-tier baseball player, you're looking at a guaranteed $300 million contract at this point, if not more than that, right? I mean, Francisco Lindor, I think, just got over $300 million for the Mets, and like he's finally starting to hit, but before that, he was batting like 190 something. So like you can make a lot of really good money if you are a baseball player, right? And I think that from that standpoint, yeah, if you have those skills to be a top tier guy, which Kyler Murray does because he was a top 10 pick in baseball, then yeah, it's something that you should definitely consider. Now, I think it would be really cool if, the A's traded the Kyler Murray rights to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then like maybe one day you see that Kyler Murray is doing stuff in OTAs or mini camp, and then he gets in his car, he drives down to whatever they call the Diamondbacks field now, Chase Field or whatever it is, and then he gets out and then he like goes and starts in center field because he's a two-sport athlete. Like, that's fun.
I was back in 1992 when you were a year old. There he is. Oh, come on, one more try. Come on, fall down, go boom. I was at the game when Deion Sanders showed up and played for the Braves after playing earlier that day in the NFL. So, that's one last point on this. Bo Jackson played for the Royals the full season and then showed up with the Raiders after baseball was done. There's enough overlap where you got to be fully committed to one or the other. One or the other's got to take precedence. One's got to be rock, paper, scissors over the other. And if you're a quarterback, it's kind of hard to show up in mid-October and say, hey, here I am. Let's go. You ready? Let's go. So it would have to be baseball willing to take him on a part-time basis and have him disappear just as the season is, reaching the stretch run. I don't know how interested a baseball team would be in that, Myles.
Well, if they're terrible, right? If you're going to go 50 and 100 and whatever.
So the Mets.
Yeah, exactly. The Mets could have them, The Diamondbacks, I don't think are they good? I actually don't know. I think the Giants were in first place the last time I checked.
The Mets are good. The Mets apparently are good now. For the first time in 50 years, the Mets are good. Sorry, I haven't paid attention.
Talk. I hope you guys weren't, expecting us to really know all that much about baseball, because clearly we don't. It's playoff basketball time, so baseball is like way down on my priority list.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.